his name when you use your calculator.
Okay, we ready to start algebra? There's our first question, 1.11. X squared plus 10x minus 24. Very simply, you're going to get 1 minute to work it, and we come together. Right, you got 1 minute to work this out. Go for it. All right, anyone's got the answer?
Minus 12 and 2, sir.
Okay, I know most of you use your calculator backwards. That's fine, absolutely perfect for me. But what I want to see here is, even if you use your calculator, you got to show the factorization, x plus 12 into x minus 2, which is actually equal to 0, and giving you two values for x. Here goes my pen again. So x is equal to minus 12. And the word is or, not and. If you say and, then you will get penalized amount. So we've got x equal to minus 12 or x equal to 2. Very simple question to start off with. All right, let's go to the next one. Seems like I jumped to 1 point. All right, let's go for it. We have an exponential equation. Let's give you a minute before I talk about it. Anyone's got an answer?
Says it's 1/2.
So we got a half. Someone confirm for a half. Nobody wants to confirm that answer. All right, so let me go. Step one, this is exponential equation. There's a plus in between. You've got to put out a common factor of 3 to the power x. So, if you put 3 to the power x, 1, 3 to the power x, plus 1 divided by 3 to the power 8. 1 will be 3 to the power 8. 3 to the power 1 is 4, which gives you 9. If I want to find 3 to the power x, I'm going to go both sides by 4. Plus 4, and I'm going to 3 to the power x is 4 2. 9 over 4. Normally, I'll say make the bases the same, but that I cannot do. So to solve for an exponent, you introduce a log. So we will say x is equal to log. Remember, the base is 3, 9 over 4. You will now take your calculator out and type in on your calculator log 9 over 4 base 3. Can I have an answer, please?
0.74.
0.74. So how did you get the half?
So I just made the bases equal. And
How
then
did you make the bases equal?
I made 9 to 3 squared, and then ended up with x plus 1 equals
So that
to
9 over 4 is
2.
3 over 2 squared. Can you see that? You still can't make it
Yes,
3.
sir.
You got it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, sir,
Yes.
so how do you type it into your calculator, sir?
Hey, I don't have a calculator, but I don't have a calculator I can show you, but there is a button on my calculator for go with the base. My calculator, I'm not a different version. My calculator is the on button.
So, because it says log, so, but I don't know where to put like the base. So.
The right button. Button, don't use that. With a base. That's the one you're gonna find.
So you're breaking up, so.
Sorry, what calculator do you have?
So I have a Casio, so
What color?
the white one, so.
The white one. Who's got a white one? I've got a black one in front of me. The black one is below the on button. Anyone's got a white calculator? Tell him where this log button is.
So it's also below the on button.
Okay.
It's the top one that says log and looks like it has two bar graphs.
Yeah,
I
so
would
I
have
can
said
see the
two.
log, so I just don't know. I don't know where to put like the base and the like other things. So.
Well, if you press that button below the on button, what do you see on your calculator?
Oh, it says another log function. Okay, I see
Did you
what you
find it?
mean, so.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got it. So.
Oh, well done. As long as you learned something today, how to use your calculator. I'm shocked that you going to grade 12 and all your classwork, you never came across that button. But anyway, let's move on. Okay. So let me give you 1.13 a minute. Let me give you a hint. This is a double barrel. When I say a double barrel, it's got a denominator and it's got a square root. Go for it. And by the way, this question in the examination paper is worth 5 marks. Let's see what you get.
So I got x is equal to -1 plus minus root 33 over 8.
Yeah, let's see what I get. Okay, so this is an LPD question. Now, LPD is 3x, root of 3x plus. So if you look at the multiplied horizontal of 2x minus 1 multiplied by the root, x plus 2. So I'm putting both under the root sign, which is equal to, if we look at the, sorry, that was the left-hand side. If you look at the right-hand side, its denominator is already 3x plus 2, so we don't have to multiply it. We multiply by 1. So we'll just bring down the top and we got 2x. Okay, the next step I'm
Sorry,
going to
so
do.
my answer was wrong. I made a mistake with the calculation. The actual answer is 1 minus 1 plus root 17 over 4 and -1 minus root 17 over 4.
Okay, so to get rid of the square root, we square. Left-hand side, the square and the square will cancel off. We left minus 1. Square the right-hand side, 2x all squared is actually 4x squared. Okay, next we're going to do FOIL first. It's 6x squared. Then we go with the inside and the outside. That gives us a minus 3x plus 4x, which gives us a positive x. Naughty, jump that. And looking at the last terms, minus 1 times 2 is a negative 2, which is equal to 4x squared. We're going to bring our 4x squared to the left-hand side. 6x squared minus 4x squared will give me 2x squared. plus x minus 2. Okay, so there's our trinomial. So if you got to this stage, I would actually give you 1. For squaring both sides, you get a 2. And if we bring it to standard form, we can get 3 marks, all right? But now, you can't factorize that. You could have used your calculator to cheat. All right, that's fine. I wouldn't say cheat, to check. And you're going to get decimals. If ever you get a decimals, remember you got to use the quadratic formula. Now, to remind you, the quadratic formula is on the formula page. And it says x is equal to minus b. So remember your a value here is 2 if you don't know. And your b value here is 1. And your c value here is minus 2. So putting into the formula, x is equal to minus b. b is 1, so it'll be minus 1. Plus minus the root of b squared, which is 1 squared. Minus 4a, or a value is 2. And then we go to c, which is negative 2. And all over 2a. And our a value here is 2. So all we're going to do now is, now we're not going to stress, we're going to type this on the calculator. Can we all type that on the calculator? Tell me what you will get. I think I'm getting minus 1.28. Did anyone get that? Or x is equal to 0.78. Any confirmation on that?
Right, sir.
Right.
That's
Now,
correct, sir.
whenever you deal with a square root problem, you must do a check. So if you place x back into the question, you need to check if your left-hand side is equal to your right-hand side. Okay. Now, if you test this, you will notice that x equal to 0.78 does not work. So the only answer we're going to accept here is minus 1.28. There's our 5-mark question. So where does the other 2-mark come in? Into the quadratic formula. And then we can actually use the accuracy mark on x equal to minus 1.28.
Sorry, sir. How did you know the final answer was negative?
You're going to take this 1.28, take your calculator, type it into the question here. So if you take your
Okay.
yeah, you're going to type it and see if the left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side.
Sure,
Okay.
okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, then we go to the famous inequalities. And in an inequality question, the paper will carry around 3 to 4 marks. So let's look at the first one. If there's x squared is less than or equal to 3x, I'm going to do this one for you. We're going to get x squared minus 3x is less than or equal to 0. We're going to pull out a common factor. X into x minus 3. I don't know what happened there. Sorry about that. Want to jump. So we got x into x minus 3 is less than or equal to 0. Parabola. Just to understand this, remember that our roots for this one, if we're actually solving for this, is x is equal to 0. That's one of the critical values. And the other one will be x equal to 3. So we can quickly draw a parabola. 0 and 3. But remember the question is less than and equal to 0. So we're looking at, just want to take that out. We are actually looking at when is the graph negative. Less than means negative, 0 and negative. So that means we're looking at when is it below the y-axis. All right, that's when it is negative. So quickly, if we draw that, it's actually from there to there. That's when it's below the x-axis. That's when the graph is actually negative. So therefore, our answer for this, in this case, would be x less than and equal to, sorry, that's wrong. X less than and equal to 3, but greater than equal to 0. Are we good with that?
So why do you have to set it out like that instead of saying x equals 0 or x is 3?
Because it's not an equation, it's an inequality. It's less than and equal to. It's not saying equal to 0, okay? This is an inequality question. So we
Yes,
have to,
I know it's not equal to, but I don't understand why you can't say or. Is that just because it's an inequality?
so what you want to say?
I still wanted to say use the inequality, but I just used or instead of writing it all out in one go.
Okay, tell me what
So
you
I
want.
said x is
Let me just get my eraser. Right, go for it. What are you
so
saying? I just want to,
the only
X is?
difference was I said x is less than or equal to 0 or x is less than or equal to 3.
Okay, that will be incorrect. Because if you say x is less than and equal to 3, that means
Oh yeah, that's
it's
wrong.
going right through. And then you're saying it's less
Yeah.
than and equal to 0, which is the same. So basically, this is included in this. Are you with me?
Okay.
So your
Yes.
answer, basically, if I had to look at the graph, it's basically saying less than and equal to 3 goes on, that you are including that entire part there. Because all that is
Yes.
less than and equal to 3. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so let's now get into this question. Okay, normally in a paper, you'll have a foil. Before this came the foil, you know. If you actually translate this question, they factorize, but normally they could have a question like this, you know, if we actually bring that back into perspective, minus x squared plus 2x minus x plus 2. Okay, so if we look at that, I took the last terms as minus x squared. The first term is 2x. The last term is minus, and we got a plus 2. And if we bring it together, I just want to go back in case a question, you normally would get minus x squared minus x plus 2 is less than 0. And normally what you would do is change the signs. X squared plus x minus 2. Whenever you change the sign, the direction will change from a less than to a greater than 0. So that's another way they can ask you a question similar to this, and then you'll go and find your factors, okay? But anyway, in this question, it is factorized for us. So we can start off. Okay, let's give you a minute to try it out. Okay, I just want to explain that this is a little bit of a tricky one. And this is why it's a little bit tricky. If the question was just x plus 1 into x minus 2, let's start here, was less than 0, then it made a very simple question. Then if you draw your parabola, you would have got the critical values to be sitting at minus 1 and 2. And then you could have said that x is less than, remember, less than below. So we're still working below. And we would have said x is less than 2. but greater than -1. But unfortunately, we see the catch here is 2 minus x. Did you notice that? So we can't just go because it makes it a little tricky. So let's give you some time to digest that.
So, but doesn't it not affect the equation whether you take the x over to make it equal to 2 when you're
Yeah,
calculating
but
the
we're not dealing
critical
with the
values?
equation. We remember when you take it over, if it was an inequality, the direction must change. Okay. If you're confused, we can do a number line test for you, but before I go there, let's actually go do FOIL on this, just to bring it back. You know what I showed you initially. So we're gonna go first. Our first terms here, if we multiply the first terms, x times 2 is 2x. Everyone knows how I got 2x. So then we're gonna go outside. Our outside terms here, if we're using FOIL, remember I'm using FOIL, will be minus x squared. Here goes my pen again. Pen is letting me down now. Sorry about that. Now I'm really struggling with this pen. Let's get it right. Okay, hopefully now we'll get somewhere. Right. So remember I said, right, we got our first terms. Then our outside terms will be minus x squared. Our inside terms is a plus 2. And our last term will be 1 times minus x. Okay, this will be the equation. Now, if I bring that to standard form, I'm going to have minus x squared, 2x minus x is a plus x, plus 2 is less than 0. Then I'm going to do a change of sign. And if I do a change of sign, it's got x squared minus x minus 2. And then the direction must change to greater than 0. That's the catch here. Now we can factorize, and we end up with x minus 2 into x plus 1. Now remember, greater than 0 is positive, okay? So if we draw a parabola, the critical values here for this parabola will be a minus 1 and a 2. So there's our minus 1, and there's our 2. Now, because it's greater than 0, we are not looking below the axis, but we are looking above now. So our solution now is running from this point called 2, and it's going to infinity, or minus 1 to infinity. Now, to write that answer down, we're basically saying x, in this case, is less than minus 1, or x is greater, not or, now we need both the solutions, and x is greater than 2. Sorry, I'm using the wrong one. Why am I saying and? My mistake. Okay, so we're saying x is less than minus 1, or x is greater than 2. So if we bring it to its standard form, and the catch was because of the sign here. Another way you could do it is to actually draw a testing on the critical values by using a kind of table. You know, you got -1 and 2. And then by substituting, if you substitute a value bigger than 2, example 3 into the question, I don't know if you did this method. That's another method some teachers teach. If we substitute 3 into this equation, on the left, you'll notice 3 plus 1 is 4, 2 minus 3 is negative, and a positive times a negative is negative. Then you can take a number between -1 and 2. As an example, I would use 0. You place 0 here and 0 here. So you'll get 0 plus 1 is 1, and 2 minus 0 is 2. And that'll give you a positive answer. And if you put down a number smaller than -1, such as -2, and if you sub it there, you should get a negative. Which means, because we are looking at the original question now, if we look at the original, we're looking for the negative solutions. So the negative lies from x greater than 2. Sorry, my pen is really worrying me now. Okay, so if we look at that table now that we want to verify the other method, we are basically saying now x is greater than 2. Also negative when x is less than -1. So you'll notice now that both these answers correlate with both the methods. Okay, so that's your inequality questions. So practice them. It worth about 3 to 4 marks. Okay, this one I'm not going to do. It says solve for x, and we're going to use the quadratic formula there. All right. 5x squared minus x minus 9 is equal to 0. Leave your answer to 2 decimal. Whenever they say 2 decimal, you're going to use your quad formula. X is equal to minus b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And I'm going to skip there. I want to get to one question. It's called a simultaneous equation. Now, simultaneous equations for us are very important because of the marks. It carries about 5 to 6 marks in an exam. And 90% of the papers love to test a simultaneous equation. So, in a simultaneous equation, it says solve for x and y. So where do we start? You always try and start with the easier equation. That looks easy to me. If I solve for that, I will get 2x. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, and I remember I solved for y, and where I see y, I'm going to replace that y value with what I just found. So in other words, I'm going to use another color here. What we're saying is, if you take 1 over x minus 3, and it says y, so instead of saying y, I solve for y here. Can you see that? I'm going to replace that with 2x minus 2, which is actually equal to 1. And from here, it becomes a little bit more easy. We could say 1 over x minus 6x plus 6 is equal to 1. And then we got 1 over x minus 6x. And 6, well, we could bring our 6 on the, sorry, we can take our 6 on the right, make it a minus 6, and minus 6 plus 1 is negative 5. And then it becomes an LCD question. And you'll notice that the LCD is x. So that's already x. We're going to bring the 1 down. We're going to multiply the 6x by x, giving us 6x squared. And we're going to multiply the 5 by x, which will give us a minus 5x. That jumped. Behave. Doesn't want to behave now. Okay. Get my pen back to work. Okay, and then we're going to multiply, as I said, that by x. Bring everything to one side. But I like the x squared to be positive. So let's take it on the right. So we get 6x squared minus 5x minus 1 is equal to 0. And from there, we can actually use our calculators, or we could actually use the quadratic formula, or we could actually factorize. So we have a lot of options to actually work it out from here. And what I'm going to do with this one, 1.4, does anyone have any idea which way you would think is most comfortable for you?
Probably the calculator. So
And work backwards. Okay, type on your calculator, tell me what you get for x.
1 and minus 1, so
He gets 1 and minus 1. That sounds
oh my,
very
sorry sir, my bad. So I was thinking of what you're putting at the end of the bracket. It would have been 6x plus 1 multiplied by x minus 1.
okay. So we can factorize this. The factors will be 6x plus 1 into x minus 1. And then when you solve for x, you should be getting minus 1 over 6. Or we could be getting x to be 1. And then we're going to take these two values and I'll put it back in here. Can you see that? They need to go back here. All right. So in other words, we got y is equal to 2x. Remember x, let's do the easy one first. 2 into 1 minus 2, and that should give us 0. And we can also have y to be equal to 2. And then we got an x value of minus 1 over 6 minus 2, and we can work the answer out for that question. Someone type that in for me, please, and tell me what we'll get there. And I think we should be getting minus 2 and 1/3. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're going to stop there. So I'm going to stop